Welcome to Miss May on Mondays.
And you're watching Artisan News.
There was a period of time, about a year, when you weren't with the band. Can you tell me a little about what you were doing back then and why you decided to rejoin?
Yeah, so Miss May, I was a local, and I was a little bit older than everyone else. Everyone else was still in high school, or 3 of the other 4 guys were still in high school. BJ had just graduated, and we are in an area where there weren't a lot of signed bands around, and it just seemed like to me, from how young all of the other artists were from the area, that if I didn't get in a signed band and get on the road with a real label, that sort of thing, by a certain time, it just wouldn't happen, because you kind of have to, if you're looking at it from my perspective, back then the only bands we knew were really young bands from our area who had gotten signed, so you follow exactly in their footsteps. So that was my thing, and I got an offer to join a band from Cincinnati, so I mean roughly the same area as us, who were signed to Metal Blade already and were touring and had finished a record and were getting ready to put it out. So they asked if I wanted to play bass with them on tour, and I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. So I made the tough decision to quit my job and quit Miss May I at the same time, because at that time it was a part-time band. It wasn't a full-time touring gig yet, not even signed or anything. So I hopped in that other band and I went on tour, and I gave it a good 9 months, probably 5 or 6 full U.S. tours in that time. Like it was a completely different experience than what I'm in now, because I wasn't friends with anyone in the band. I just was a hire-on. I was a guy who hopped in, which is a completely different way to go about it. The touring was extremely low budget. No money involved, losing money most of the time. I went into huge debt doing that band because I was using a credit card to pay for everything, because the band wasn't making any money. So it kind of put a sour taste in my mouth for touring in general, or being in a band. I actually, when I quit the band in January or February, whatever month it was, and came home, I sold all of my gear. I sold all of my gear to Miss May I. And then when I got my job back, I just came back to the band and started using my stuff again. So it was a weird time, but it was a good learning experience. Made me appreciate all the really cool stuff that Miss May I got to do right off the bat.
And you guys have evolved so much with the last record. You're going back to the studio in March. How do you feel about the evolution of the band so far, and where do you hope the band will go next?
Every record, our thing is to write songs that we enjoy writing and enjoy playing, and that is why the record is drastically different every time, because the people writing the songs in the band are growing, getting older. They're liking new music in between these record cycles, being inspired by different bands, different sounds. So when we get in the studio and we start taking our 5 band members start slamming these ideas together, we're compiling different influences, and then before you know it, we've got a record that sounds like us in a way, but with all of these new things as well. So I think going forward, we just want to continue the same trend. I mean, you're always going to hear any band who has multiple records out, is you get to that point where you can't help but piss people off, because if you fall in love with a record, you want the band to write that record over and over and over and over, but it just doesn't work like that for us. So for me, I think we just want to write another good record. That's another record that we're proud of, and that a bunch of people want to come and see some songs for.
And moving on to the questionnaire, you mentioned that you don't shave your head because you want to, and you can't.
I forgot about that questionnaire.
So do you feel a little envious sometimes when you see these metal dudes? With
Oh,
full beards?
I'm in a band with Levi Benton, man. I'm in a band with like the nicest hair in the biz. It's cool, I guess, to be bald. It's a pain in the ass, really. Shave my head like every 2 days on tour. Kind of sucks. Makes me look like a human penis a little bit. But, you know, what are you going to do?
And you were inspired by playing at a school talent show. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I loved a lot of different cool bands in high school, like every high school kid does. And one of my favorites was Nirvana, and we had a talent show at our school, or whatever you would call it. And we wanted to play a Nirvana song in it, and two guys already played instruments, and I didn't, and bass was left, so I was like, I guess I'll play that. So got a bass, learned how to play, never played the talent show, but that's what got it started.
So you said your first show you ever went to was the Dixie Chicks with your mom.
Yeah, so I was trying to answer that. I was being a real smartass when I filled that sheet out, as you could probably tell. I don't remember when it was, but as far as I can remember, like when I was a little kid, that's the first real concert I remember being at. But as far as me going to a concert on my own, it has to be either, I'm going to say like My Chemical Romance with Alkaline Trio maybe. I went to that in high school. I went to Story of the Year from First to Last, Every Time I Die in high school. Have to be one of those. That's like the real first concert.
And I'm actually not picking most of that background noise up, so.
Cool.
But it says that you support promote Psych. What's Psych?
Psych is a company that we just met the other day at our rehearsal, who are basically against large tobacco companies and their policies. And for me, I've been in a family full of smokers, yada, 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 like a lot of people in America. And I've never been one. I've never smoked cigs. So, and we've watched a lot of, I've watched a couple guys in the band battle trying to quit, and it's always a big struggle for them. So it was just a cool company to work with. They kind of go about the anti-smoking thing in a cooler way than I didn't like a lot of the in-your-face, flashy, you will die, your life will be horrible. I don't like how a lot of the companies use that scare tactic to try and get people to stop smoking. I like how the company Psych presents a bunch of facts and tries to go about it in a they're kind of going after the morality of it rather than than a scare tactic, to make you terrified of the product. They put it into more of a realistic perspective, a truthful look at what the company actually is doing behind the scenes and the messed up stuff that they do to get people to buy their product. And I think that's the only real company like that we've ever done anything with.
And Rob Zombie, John 5, why are they rivals?
I grew up loving the White Zombie records, which started me off on Rob Zombie, and then when I was in middle school, high school, Hellbilly Deluxe and Sinister Urge were out, so those were two of my favorite records. John 5 hopped into playing for Rob Zombie a couple records after that, and I had followed John 5 while he was playing for Marilyn Manson before that, who I'm also a huge fan of. So it's cool watching those guys now, as we have done a few festivals with them now, met them in person, seen their crew, seen how they work, like that they're real dudes in a band who are just like bigger than life from the outside. So both of those guys are two of my favorites, and it's cool because now they're in the same band. They didn't used to be, so that's pretty rad.
John 5's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
You are obsessed with NASCAR.
I am
Where does this
obsessed.
passion come from, and why do you love it so much?
In middle school, my mom started loving NASCAR, and I'm a mama's boy, so I immediately was like, I'm into that. So I started liking NASCAR, and I really got into it in like high school when I was older and could understand the sport a little bit more. It always intrigued me because it has so much money involved. but in a sponsorship format rather than obviously the drivers get paid a shit ton of money. But I always was intrigued by how much money it took to do everything and how big of a business it probably has to be behind the scenes. It's really it's exciting because it's full of ridiculous logistics, just like being in a band, just things that are you would think are impossible to make happen in like a certain time frame. So not only is the sport cool, but like the infrastructure behind the sport's really cool. And I still don't have any cool ends. I'm still trying. I still want NASCAR to hire me to do something. That'd be sweet, but not yet.
So you wrote that your sense of humor is that you're a sarcastic jerk. No question there. Just wanted to agree with you.
Yeah.
Next question.
No, see,
Next
that's
question.
what a day with me will do to you. You know the truth.
And off the record, Ryan, that's why we get along. Because I think poor Scott, like, oh, by the way, poor Levi had to see me yell at a taxi and he like almost had a heart attack.
Man, taxis. No more of that shit. Scary.
So, you value the most self-improvement. Tell me a little about why that is what you value the most.
Well, I think on a tour, from a touring aspect, for me, it is because I basically, when I rejoined the band, had to pick up a whole nother skill. I wasn't a good singer or even an okay singer by any stretch of my imagination, at least from the beginning. And when I rejoined the band, there was a full record done with great singing on it, and I had to fill the shoes, and I just felt like for me, it was a really stressful first few tours trying to figure out the hell I was doing. And it's still a process. Like, it's still a lot of practice. And the one thing you can value, no matter how anything else goes at the end of a tour, is if you feel like you didn't, just go up there and shit all over the stage the whole time. If you went up there and did a great job and you performed better than you did last time, maybe the tour didn't go your way financially or it didn't go your way crowd-wise or something, but if you did the best you could, as cheesy as that sounds, you'll feel at least a little bit better about what's going on. Same thing with my sarcastic jerk mood. I try to scale it down just a little bit more each year. I get it under control so that I'm not such a jerk. So it's a smart thing to do for yourself personally.
And you own the show vest that you feel holds special significance to you. Why did they
I like cheesy traditions a lot, so I made a couple or had a few made, whichever way it went on the particular vest, and it's just cool. To me, it gives the crowd something to identify with visually. Like if they need something to remember me by, like I try to wear the same stuff in the music videos that are going to come up in the tours that are to come. Just because that was my favorite thing about watching bands, is if I would see them in a music video, I would show up and everything that I liked from their music video is in their live performance, even visually. I always thought that was really cool. So taking the vest and making a new one each tour, it lets me remember the particular tour or the particular time frame. And then at the same time, I like band t-shirts a lot, so it gives me a chance to find cool band t-shirts, cut the back off of them, and make cool vests that everybody has to stare at while I'm on stage, which is pretty cool. Make fans stare at White Zombie patches and things of that nature.
Two more questions.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying that the best show you've ever seen was either Slipknot Japan Fest or Slipknot Fest Japan.
It's not Fest.
Yeah. My favorite recently is the Not Fest Japan performance by Slipknot. We had seen them. It was my first time seeing them at the Not Fest America, but it was outside. And I think that heavy metal kind of loses a little bit of its balls and its oomph when you're outside and the sound can get away. Whereas Not Fest Japan was like a 24,000 capacity show or something that was sold out indoors. So, so the sound has nowhere to go but in your face, super loud. We were able to get on a cool platform pretty close. So that was the most recent one that was really awesome. But I think of concerts I've paid for, it would be I saw Queens of the Stone Age support Nine Inch Nails at a hockey arena in Cleveland when I was in high school, and it's two of my favorite bands in the same show. So, that was easily one of the best concerts I'm probably ever going to get to go to.